the one, the only Benzion.
Good evening and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Iyun with Benzion. Tonight's daf is Mesechus Gittin daf Yud Ches, number 18. From Machlokas on Yud Chem and Beis between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. An interesting Machlokas. The case is, you say to 10 people, write a get for my wife. And the Gemara mentions, you said, Kulchem, 10 people were standing in front of you. He said, all of you, write a get for my wife. Rabbi Yochanan says, everyone agrees all 10 of them have to sign. The question is, are all the signatures the same? Or are the first two people who signed, the first two kosher Edom who signed, those are the real Edom. The other 8 people who signed is not because of Edus, it's just to fulfill the Tanai, because that's what he wanted. The person who's giving the get, he wants this to be done. So it's part of it's integral to the get. They have to sign, but it's not Edus. We don't rely on their Edus. According to Reish Lakish, they all have to be Edom. He wants to have 10 Edom on the get. And there's two nafkaminas. One nafkamina is like the Gemara explains that 2 people signed during the day it was written, and 8 people signed at night. According to the Rabban, it's normally possible, but according to Rabbi Yochanan, it would be okay because you only really need 2 Edom. The rest could fulfill their Tanai, their stipulation, within 10 days. And the second afkamina is if one of the Edom are karbo puzzle. I mean, if they're a relative or they're someone who's puzzle for Edus. So according to Reish Lakish, they're all one group of Edom. Nimsa echem hen karbo puzzle, like Dusam Batel, the Gemara Makos says. So they're all batel. But according to Rabbi Yochanan, as long as 2 Edom are kosher, so the ones that are not kosher are discredited, and the other ones are part of the Tanai, and it's okay. Now, it seems over here that the Ein Mishpat, the Rambam, and the Shulchan are a pasuk like Rabbi Yochanan. The halacha is that only 2 people are the real Edom, the other 8 are a Tanai stipulation. And therefore, right, if one of them is Karol Apostle, it wouldn't invalidate it. And also, right, if you had 8 people signing not the day of the writing of the shtar of the get, that would be okay, as long as 2 people sign it on the right day. The problem is that the Gemara really at the end brings a story, and the Gemara seems to say, according to Rabbi Shimon Levi, who the story was brought in front of, he was the rabbi over there, he seemed to pass like Reish Lakish before the Mishnah on Yud Tet Aleph, the Gemara ends off like that. So who do we pass like, Rabbi Yochanan or Reish Lakish? I want to explain the Machlokas Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish as follows. When you say kisu gel ishti, the 10 people, basically you're making them, right? You're a shlichus. It's an example of shlichus, right? You're allowed to make a shliach to give a get. That's what the whole Masechta starts off talking about, right? Someone's in Medina Siyah. He doesn't want to go to Eretz Yisrael. His wife is in Eretz Yisrael. He's in America. He wants to divorce his wife. So he can send a get with one person, and the person can give it to the wife, and he's a shliach. You can make a shliach like kiddushin and a shliach like gerushin also, right? You have to say fani nechtam because kiyum shtaros, like Rava explained. But you can do that. You can send a get. You can send it with two people. Maybe you don't have to say fani nechtam. But if you say 10 people, kisvu gel ish, you're making them shluchim to give the get. Now, there's two ways of viewing the concept of shlichus. I heard this one of the first shiurim I ever heard when I actually was paying attention to Gemara shiurim at Rabbi Yaakov Konigsberg in Yeshiva University. We were learning Mesechus Bava Metzia. We talked about the concept of shluchus shel adam kamo. So the shliach of a person is like him. Now, there's 2 basic ways of understanding shluchus shel adam kamo. So one way of understanding shluchus shel adam kamo is when I make an agent to do something, he's literally me. He's like my yada, richta. He's the extension of my hand. It's like I'm doing it. He's taking over my body and he's doing it for me. Right? Which seems to only make sense if he's exactly like me, like he's Yisrael, right? For a certain a chera shata of a katan, people who are not considered an ish or an isha couldn't even be part of it, or an eved. They're not b'nei, they're not included in the parsha of shlichus. A woman is not included in the parsha of shlichus. An eved, knaini, is not included in the parsha of shlichus. Because they're not like me, they can't be my body. But in terms of, there's a second aspect, the second way of understanding shlichus, is that shlichus is basically the other person is acting on his own accord. It's just the mechanism of shlichus allows whatever the shliach does for me to reconnect to me, to be attributed to me. Not that I was doing it, but whatever he did is attributed that like I did it. His action goes back to the totzah. The result of his action is attributed to me, not like, and for that, obviously, the guidelines of shlichus are are more lenient, right? Even if it's a woman, even if it's an Evan, right? Because it doesn't have to be like me. It doesn't have to be this person taking over my body or extending my hand. It's just someone taking, even a non-Jew potentially could be okay for a shliach, because the point is just to get it done. So over here, I believe this is what Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish are arguing. When you say kisvu gel ishti, and you say kulchem, the Gemara explains, all of them, I want you to write a get for my wife, and you mean that all of them should sign the get. When you make someone to tell someone to write a get, to sign the get for your wife, they're basically acting as your shliach. They're acting as your shliach. They're testifying in the get that this is basically that you instructed them to write this. And they're going to give your wife this get. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, that really, when you say kisvu gel ishti, you don't mean that you're making them a shliach for the writing of the get. All you're doing is making them a shliach that the get should get to your wife's hands, like we paskin, like Eliezer holds. Eidim Mesira Karshi. The main eidim by a get are not the eidim that are written in the shard. We need two people to witness the get being given over. According to a mayor who argues in Eliezer, it's a famous machlokes Rav Mesachas Gittin, he holds the Eidei Chasima Karshi. The main eidim are the ones written in the document. According to Rabbi Elazar, if you didn't have eidim in the document, but you had eidim at the Mesira, it would be a kosher get. You don't have to have eidim necessarily in the document. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, who we paskin like, he is saying, I think he's saying according to Rabbi Elazar, right? Basically, a person, his das, his knowledge, what he intends to say. We're trying to figure out what he intended to say over here. He intended to say like Rabbi Elazar. The important is giving over the get. Now I'm saying write the get. So write the get, the minimum way that's necessary. Two people will be the eidim. Normally is done with two eidim. You don't, according to Elazar, maybe you don't even need eidim. Maybe the Rabbanan, you need eidim. But my main thought is on giving of the get to the wife. So therefore, I make a shlichus over here. I'm doing the minimum shlichus. Just two people sign the eid. And the other people I meant should participate in it. They should also sign on it, but not that they're actually eidim. According to Reish Lakish, when you say kisvu gel ishti, Reish Lakish means, I think he's saying that you want all these people to be your shluchim in the ksivas. Now, I'm not saying Reish Lakish holds like, saying Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish argue whether you hold like Eliezer or a mayor. I was like say Reish Lakish would even say according to Eliezer, even according to Eliezer, that Eidim Mesira Karsi. The question is when you say kisvu gel ishti, write a get for my wife, right? Maybe there's a possibility that you wanted them to be all shluchim in the writing of the get. Now, according to Eliezer, that Eidim Mesira Karsi, he would agree. I think he would agree that if you had a get with Eidim, proper Eidus in the get, that even though it's not the most important part of the get, but it is an important part of the get. If there's something wrong with it, right, it might invalidate it. Mezuyif Mitucho is possible midrabbanan, maybe even midaraisa it's possible. So even according to Reish Lakish, we pass on to Eidim Mesira Karse, but you were intent on your shlichus being written in the get. So you are making them shluchim like Rabbi Yochanan says, when I say kisvu gel ishti, it means I want these eidim to do the totzah, to do the result for me, to get this get to my wife with their names written inside of it. I'm not actually making them eidim to be like an extension of myself. According to Reish Lakish, that's really the shlichus you're taking over here, right? Obviously, we know by Gittin you can have both types of shlichus over here, but Reish Lakish is saying the shlichus I'm giving over here is the real shlichus, where I want you to be like myself. So therefore, all the eidim have to sign on it, and they're all considered one group of eidim. According to Rabbi Yochanan, that's not where you're going. When you're saying kisvu gel ishti, you're relying on the eidim mesira. You're just saying, make sure this get gets to my wife in a kosher way. So the minimum two eidim is kosher. The rest is a t'nai. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.